Welcome to my channel, Kelly Rene Everyday, where I'm here dedicated to teaching you the fundamentals of crochet through beginner-friendly projects. Today's tutorial is going to focus on creating this beautiful table runner. Now this table runner utilizes just two basic crochet stitches, the single crochet and the double crochet. We put them together to make shells, if you look really closely here, for this beautiful texture. Now this holiday inspired table runner can be put on a dining table or an end table to be the perfect addition to your festive decor. Now, if you're looking for any additional holiday inspired projects, I have on my channel the crochet poinsettia coaster, as well as this beautiful basket weave dishcloth. So if you're interested in those as well, take a peek down below and I will have those links there. Now, you'll also find the written pattern for the table runner, as well as all of my other projects on my website, Kelly Rene Everyday. And if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to my channel to join this community so that you can get alerts whenever a new video is uploaded. Also, if you do like it, please like this video as well as share it with anybody that you feel would also benefit from this content. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to list them down in the comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you. So I think we're all set to start looking at the supplies. Okay, so the supplies that you're going to need to create this project are, first of all, yarn. I chose the Yarn Bee brand, and this is the pearl spun low pill fiber. And I really like this yarn because it's got a little bit of a shine to it. So it's a little bit more, I think, especially for something you may use as a decor item, it just gives it a little bit more polish as a final project. Now, as far as the details on the yarn band, you're going to notice that this has 150 yards or 137 meters. It is a standard 4-weight yarn. So any 4-weight yarn is actually going to do for this, and any type that you feel would be best for your decor. Now, as we look here, it says that we're supposed to use a 5.5 millimeter hook. I actually used a 5 millimeter. Either one really is going to work for you, but I just chose a 5 millimeter because I wanted it to be just a little bit closer together as I created my stitches. So, and I do like how it's turned out. So my crochet hook is an H 5 millimeter, and this happens to be a Clover Amour. You can use, any brand, obviously, but I'll link this down below. You need a yarn needle to weave in your ends, and then you're also going to need a scissors. Now, as far as the amount of yarn, let's go back to that. When I was creating this, my table runner is about 10 inches wide, okay, in this direction. So it's 10 inches wide, and then as far as the length from one skein of yarn, you'll get 18 inches, okay, 18 inches long. So what you want to do is you want to kind of figure out how long you want your table runner to be based on the table you're planning on putting it on. And then you're going to, for every 18 inches or about 1.5 feet, you're going to have one skein of yarn. So I happen to make mine 3 feet long or 36 inches long. So I used 2 skeins. If you want to make it longer, then you continue to add skeins to add length. Now, again, I'm going to have all of the links for these supplies down in the description below, as well as on my website, kellyreneeveryday.com. And I also have that link to the written pattern in the description down below. One of the things I really love about this particular pattern is that the texture that's created is just gorgeous. It's going to be shells that we're going to be creating as we go along. But what's great about this is truly just a 1-row repeat. So we're going to get our base chain for the width that we want, and then we're just going to go back and forth, and this becomes a reversible table runner, and it creates this natural scallop as you go. So there is no border to create at all. So it's, again, another reason why this is perfect for the absolute beginner. So we're ready to get our yarn on our hook. So to do that, we're going to create a slip knot. A slip knot is going to be created by putting your tail around your 2 fingers 1.5 times, pushing that tail through that loop, and then putting your crochet hook in and pulling on these ends. Now, it's worth saying that if you need some practice getting the fundamentals of getting the yarn on the hook, practicing that slip knot, holding your hook, getting the yarn around your hands, counting stitches, creating a chain, creating the single crochet stitch, I would suggest that you check out my video on Learn to Crochet in 2 hours. It is perfect for that absolute beginner that wants to learn the great fundamentals of crochet in a slowed down fashion that gives you practice and multiple repeats on how to do things. So check that out if you need to. Otherwise, we'll continue on here. So to start off here, we are going to create 32 chains, and that's going to get us the width of the table runner of 10 inches that I created. So I'm going to get started here by yarning over and pulling through. That's my first chain, and I'm going to chain all the way to a total count of 32. So I'll do a couple here to demonstrate, but then what I want you to do is I want you to create a total of 32. So stop the video, and then once you have 32 created, you are going to restart the video and we're going to continue on for our next step. Okay, so here we have our foundational chain of 32 chains. Now for our very first row, we are actually going to do a single crochet starting in the second chain from our hook on every one of the chains going back. It's just to create a nice even edge on our table runner. So as we look here, I'm actually going to zoom in really close so you can see what I'm doing. Let me get right underneath here. And I want to be sure that you're putting this in the correct loop. So as our loop is coming, off of our working yarn, the stitch that it's coming out of is our first chain. And then the next one is going to be the second chain. This second one is where we're going to be putting our first single crochet in. To single crochet, we're going to go directly into that stitch underneath that top part of the chain. And then I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to have 2 loops on. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both loops. So that's my first single crochet. Then I'm going to continue to the next chain. So the next chain is going to be going into the top of that V, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's my second one. And I'm going to continue to put single crochets into that foundational chain all the way across. So one single crochet into each one of our chains. Okay, so you want to do that all the way to the very end. Okay, so we have our first row in place. We have 31 single crochets going all the way back to the end. So I am going to insert my crochet hook, and we are going to get started with our first row. And this is going to be a 1 row repeat. So it's so easy. So once we get this 1 row down, it's going to not only be easy to remember, but it's also going to make this reversible. So we are going to start by chaining 3. So we're going to be on our end and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn. Okay, so we're going to chain 3 and turn on every one of our rows. 1 row repeat here. Now I'm going to do 3 double crochets into that first stitch in this row. So I'm going to yarn over once, and I'm going to go straight into the very first stitch. So here are my 3 chains, and at the base of those 3 chains is the bottom of our stitch. It's actually, if we tip it over, there is the top of the stitch. We're going to go underneath those 2 V's. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets right in that first stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, pull up 2, pull through 2, and pull through the last 2. And then I'm going to do another one, yarn over, go into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I've got 2 double crochets in there, and I'm going to do 1 more. Yarn over, double crochet in, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 3 double crochets into the first stitch. So there is the chain that doesn't count as a stitch, but then there's 3 double crochets into that first one. Now we're going to skip that next stitch in the next spot, and then we're going to single crochet into the next one. So we're going to skip one, and then we're going to single crochet into the next one. So it goes directly in, yarn over, and pull through both loops. Now we're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to put 3 double crochets in the next one. So yarn over, skip a stitch, and we're going to go for our first double crochet, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then 2 more right into that same spot. Second double crochet and third double crochet. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to skip, and we're going to put a single crochet in the next one. So we're going to go directly in, single crochet, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now let's look at what we have. We are creating shells, okay? So I am going to scooch this in and get really close. So what we started seeing develop here is the base of the shell, and I've got 1, 2, 3 double crochets coming from it. Then I've got a single crochet, and then here's the base of my next one, 1, 2, 3 coming from it. And then here's my single crochet. And we're going to continue to alternate shell, single crochet, shell, single crochet, always skipping a stitch in between. So I just got done with my single crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to skip a stitch, and I'm going to put 3 double crochets into the next stitch here. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Okay, and then 2 more. Yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And then 1 more. Okay, and then you're going to skip, and you're going to do a single crochet into the next. And you're going to continue this very same pattern all the way along your first row here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish mine, continuing to alternate and skipping. And when I get to the very end here, I'm going to show you what you're going to do and how to turn to start the next row. Now, what I have done here is I have done my alternating shells and single crochets. I just finished a single crochet, and I'm down to the last 4 stitches in my row. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see how we're going to finish this row. So there's 4 stitches left. So I'm going to skip the next stitch here from my single crochet, and I'm going to do a shell or 3 double crochets into the next one. So I'm going to yarn over and put in 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now you'll notice I have 2 stitches left. So I'm going to skip a stitch, and in the very last stitch, I'm going to end on a single crochet. Single crochet. Okay. So now if we look back at what we did, we started the row on 3 double crochets into the first stitch, which was our shell. And then we alternated single crochets, shell, single crochets with skip stitches in between, okay? And we ended the row on a single crochet. Now we're going to do our next row, which is going to be starting with 3 chains, okay? And we're going to turn, okay? And then now, just like on our first row, we're going to start with a shell or 3 double crochets into the first stitch on that row. So at the bottom of our chains is our first stitch. So we're going to yarn over, and we're going to put 3 double crochets into that stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now we're going to skip a stitch, which is this next one right next to it, and then we're going to put a single crochet into the next one, which happens to be the very top of the shell from the previous row. Okay. And then now we're going to skip another stitch. Okay. and we're going to 3 double crochets into the next stitch. So the very same pattern that we used on the previous row, we're going to use here, starting and ending in the same fashion. Okay. And I'll do another one, skip, and then I'm going to do a single crochet. I'm going to do one more shell, and then we'll look back at what we have. Now I'm going to double crochet into the single crochet from the previous row, which I kind of think is like a little valley between the 2 shells. Okay, so let me kind of pull this out and let's look at what we have. Okay, get rid of this. Look here. So you'll notice that every time we have one of these holes, this is where our shells are coming from. Okay, that's called a shell. And then, so we get this kind of scalloped effect as we go. So you're always going to be single crocheting at the tops of the shells, and you're going to be making your shell or 3 double crochets at the valley or where the single crochet was from the previous. And you just keep alternating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to the very end of the row, and we're going to end one more row to make sure that you know what the pattern is. So on this second row here, now that we've been doing this, you can start seeing that really pretty embedded shell kind of coming together and creating this gorgeous texture. So I'm down to my last shell and single crochet of my row. So I wanted to show you how you would finish. So I'm gonna do my shell or my 3 double crochets into the valley. Okay. Double crochet and one more right back into that same space. And then I'm going to skip a stitch and I'm going to do a single crochet right here as my last stitch in my row. Okay. Now don't go to the very end because this is part of that scallop that's created on each one of the edges. So now that was my single crochet. I'm going to chain 3, 2, 3. I'm going to turn, and now I'm going to do my 3 double crochets into that base or that first stitch on that row. So 1 and 2 and 3. And then continue with, at the top of my next shell, I'm going to single crochet. And then continue that pattern. So here you can see that scallop develop on the end. So again, what's wonderful about this pattern is I don't have to worry about any sort of a border. It creates it organically. Okay, now I'm at the end of my 3rd row. And what I wanted to do was to just show you how to finish this off once you get it the length that you want. So again, you're going to keep going back and forth, this very same pattern, 1 row repeat, reversible, and then we've got these nice scallops that naturally occur. So when you're done and you're like, this is long enough, it's always nice to put a finishing edge on this. And all you're going to do is you're going to go back with a single crochet along the edge to match how you started. So you're simply going to chain 1, you're going to turn, and then starting in that first stitch, you're going to just single crochet all the way across, And that finishes off that edge really nicely. Then once you get to the end of the row here, you can simply tie off and then weave in your ends. Thank you so much for taking time to watch and learn how to create this festive holiday table runner. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you do want to do some more holiday inspired projects like this coaster or washcloth, again, I'll have the links down below, and you can also find all of this information here on my website, kellyreneeeveryday.com. Again, thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video.